In honor of a certain anniversary, I thought it'd be fun to take a nostalgia-filled trip down memory lane and break all my old Ninjago minifigs out of storage and see just how bad my old Ninjago customs really were. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Starting off with Jay. Legacy Jay. This isn't a custom, but it is my first ever Lego figure, as you can see by all of the playware. Ooh, Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu Jay. The paint is a little scraped up in a lot of areas, but I painted over the Forbidden Spinjitzu hood because the green was just horribly inaccurate and it lacked the bandana at the top. I also painted the Spinjitzu as well, but I lost that. I also painted his eyes blue to match when he does Forbidden Spinjitzu. I painted up the scroll of Forbidden Spinjitzu and sloppily glued the scroll onto there to make it slightly more accurate, but I should have just printed it out and redone it. Along with that, I also glued the shoulder piece onto the arm, which I can't honestly tell if that looks better than when it's attached to the neck. Custom number 2 should start it off with this. We have DXJ with the shoulder armor glued to the arms. He also has a silver arm as opposed to the gray. The shoulder armor might be a little too bulky, but I still stand by the opinion this is better than it being attached to the neck, and I did paint over the crest in silver because the printing was rubbing off. How did this figure get yellowed? It was in a tote. Zukin J from a book, Scuba J. This J here is an interesting case. I think the paint is starting to dry out, but I did that thing where you cut off the top of the neck wrap to make it look like it did in the island, and I painted his hair in a more accurate reddish brown color, and I kind of just stored these pieces on the legacy figure since it wasn't canon. And lastly, Season 13 J. I glued the one part of the shoulder piece to the arm, and I gave it a more accurate flail, plus I painted the piece under the flail blue, again to make more accurate. And this was the beginning of adding the clip to hold the shield on the back, and actually the rest of the shoulder piece is somewhere else. I'll have to get that. And I was going to try and cut off the other part of the shoulder piece and glue it to this part of the arm, but it is way too out of scale compared to in the show, and I really don't think it would have worked. But hey, maybe that's something for me to try in the future. Moving on to Cole. I don't actually think Cole got too many customs. I need to get a gold shoulder piece for this. I also need to fix that site, the Quakes. Here's the first custom. This is the Sons of Garmadon look, but I glued the shoulder piece onto the arm, and I gotta say, this looks so much better than it being attached to the neck. And I did sand down the hammer and painted it gray. The paint's coming off. That was a really lazy custom job. Spinjitzu Burst Cole, non-canon Cole, another non-canon Cole. We have Legacy Cole. As you can see, I painted the hair in a matte black, which is more accurate than the gloss black. This is one of my earliest Ninjago minifigs. The face and the hair are missing, along with the Techno Blade, but I did order a replacement hair and head, so that'll be really nice to finish him. And this is one of the few customs that ever got any notoriety. This is his hammer painted to look more accurate to the show. It's not a full-on mod, and at this point, the third-party hammer would probably just be better, but for the time, I think it's actually pretty good. Also, excuse me, I made this Earth like energy blast piece a while back for him, which looks it looks. Moving on to one of the best written characters in fiction. I ordered a replacement head for this, so that'll be good. Scuba Zane, Core Zane. Really don't have that crazy of a collection. Ooh, first custom here. The paint unfortunately scraped off on this one, but I did paint up his shurikens to be more accurate to the show as well. Seriously, how did these figures get yellowed? Or maybe they were yellowed before I put them in there. Also, this minifig isn't a custom, but I did make a custom elemental blade with a sanded down dragon hilt piece and one of the actual elemental blades. And I gotta say, this looks really cool. Again, third party definitely made a better, more accurate version of this, but using official Lego parts for it, I feel like has a really nice charm to it. Also, this Zane suit is so good. I wish they did more Legacy Season 5 and 6 suits. Actually, I did a concept for Legacy 03 Lloyd. I was going to do the rest of the Ninja, but I never got around to it. And that was like the only time I'll ever get to mention that drawing. Moving on to Sons of Garmadon Zane. This custom job is rough. Gave him the same shoulder pad treatment as Cole, which would look good if I didn't paint silver on it for some reason. Painted silver on the quiver. And I actually, I don't know if you can see, I painted silver on the neck. Actually, it'll probably be easier if I take off the quiver. You can see I continued the silver from the torso onto the top of the neck, which I mean, it doesn't look too bad. Oh, I got these guys all kinds of screwed up. All right, the head won't go back on all the way. That's a great sign. I think I was gonna glue a string here, and this is his bow painted silver. Non-canon Zane. This is Day of the Departed Zane from some like polybag or something, and I tried very hard to continue the wrapping on the legs all the way around and the silver on the belt all the way around. And I know this is like a couple seasons after the fact, but I didn't have Zukin Zane up until very recently. So I gave him the obsidian size from the Shadow of Ronin because I just liked the obsidian weapons so much. I had to give them to somebody. Legacy Zane. This is an interesting one. We have damaged rebooted Zane with a white arm instead of the silver because it's more accurate, and a custom Technoblade with an extended handle, a stud, and I painted the gold part of the Technoblade gold. For a more purist-ish custom job, I think that actually gets the job done pretty well. The Technoblade does look really cool. And actually, let me know if you noticed or not in the comments, but the mask is actually painted white. I had the original mask in white, but I painted it blue for something, or no, I Sharpied it blue. And then I realized I wanted white again, so I had to paint over it white in a gloss black. And honestly, that doesn't look that bad. Someone I used to know actually gave me this minifig. Actually, they gave me a bunch of Ninjago minifigs. Like, they gave me ZXJ, a couple other ones we're gonna see, so shout out to them. Let's move on to Kai. I have him and Lloyd in the same bag. Skybound Kai, Spinjitzu Burst Kai. Here we have Tournament of Elements Kai. I gave him a custom Jade Blade, which is slightly more accurate to the ones in the show. Non-canon. Season 10. And then the only other, I didn't have a lot of Kais. The only other custom I did, and again, the paint is unfortunately scraping off, but I made his sword a little bit more accurate to the one in the show. And while we have Lloyd on the table, here is his season 13 outfit. I was gonna try and make his sword more accurate. You can see I like painted it up. I tried sanding the, what was that, the hilt? The guard. I tried sanding the guard down to be more accurate, but I screwed that up and I have to start over, and then I just gave up. Scuba Lloyd, Spinjitzu Burst Lloyd. Same situation as Jay. Painted the hair to be matte and gave him one of those half-open mask pieces. Non-canon Lloyd. Here you have Sons of Garmadon Lloyd with a slightly more accurate sword. And again, I did the thing where I glued the shoulder piece onto the arm. And then we have Tournament of Elements Lloyd. Sharpied in some darker green to add some shading, which I should not have done. He's holding what's left of the Jade Blade because I didn't know what to do with it. And his face is gone. Actually, I have his face. Hold on. I used it as a base for a rescue custom, and it's been soaking in water because I want to get it out of there. Along with that, I know where his hair is. I used it on this Nomad Cap custom that I mentioned in another video. I glued the shoulder pieces on because, again, I firmly believe it looks so much better. Non-canon Nia. This is season 5 Nia. It was very, very faded. And I don't know why. I Sharpied on like some blue paint onto the mask, I guess to add depth or something. What is this crap on them? Oh, I forgot. That's the water damage. Oh, shoot. It's going to be fun cleaning these. Yeah, part of the reason why I put these all in storage is because I had a water damage problem. I completely forgot about that. I used to have this huge stand for Ninjago minifigs that all of these were sitting on, and it got ruined. And it was really crappy. I needed to throw it away anyway. So I made that one out of just black bricks, which I definitely need to extend. Incomplete Day of the Pardonia from the same, I think it was like a poly bag that the Zane came in. Scuba Nia. And this one is really cool. This is the best Lego custom job I have ever done. This is her spear from season 13. Could definitely be a little better, but like I'm thoroughly impressed with what I was able to accomplish back in what, like 2021? This is so good. Like, this is up to my current standard even, I'd argue. I just have a very soft spot in my heart for this accessory. I think it's really cool. These are my only woos, those weird woo robots from the Hydro Bounty. And then my only show Garmadon, and something I started but never really finished. These came with an Anaconda Cultist, or one of the sets, the same set as that Tournament Lloyd. And I painted them purple to look like those blades he created. They do look cool, but they're horribly inaccurate, so I never bothered finishing. I guess side characters would be next. I tried to make Okino's blade more accurate by shortening it a little bit. Hutchins is such a weird character. Like, we got him before we ever got a casual Harumi, and he has like 3 seconds of screen time. Another minifig that guy gave me, General Kozu. He's so cool. Not a custom, but I mean, he's awesome. And then the GOAT, purposefully saved for last. We have Mr. E, the greatest Ninjago villain and greatest Ninjago character of all time. I love Mr. E to death. And I did customize him. One of them came off, but if we take one of these swords from the forearm to Mr. E, you can see I made sheaths for when his swords are on his back just like in Son of Garmadon. They're a little fragile because it's not that firm of a connection, but I thought it was cool looking. And then I think actually I made him a bunch of red swords. These ones had Sharpie handles, and these ones were black katanas that I painted red. Honestly, if the Sharpie was more filled in, I think that would have worked. I don't know why I gave up on this idea. So glad I got my hands on this minifig, because Mr. E is he's just the goat. He's so cool. And yeah, that's all of my Ninjago customs. And it was really nostalgic getting all these minifigs out of storage finally. But yeah, let me know which one was your favorite in the comments down below, or if I should continue any of these. I do plan on making some Ninjago customs in the future. Keep on building my goose name sandwiches. I do not have nearly enough room on that stand for all these minifigs. And I'll see y'all later. Peace out.